In this video, we're going to deck out Duchess, giving her the best relics humanly possible by getting all of her remembrances done. I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process on how to do everything. So, with that being said, let's jump right into the video. Now, for Duchess's first remembrance, you will need to have slayed one Night Lord in order to even have access to the journal entries. So, go ahead and make sure that's done, and then come back and start Chapter 3, which is going to be Duchess's very first remembrance. Once you get into the realm of remembrance, Raider will be standing right in front of you, so run over and exhaust all of his dialogue, and then he'll send you over to Wilder to exhaust all of his dialogue as well. Once you finish talking with Wilder, head back to Raider once again, and you should get a personal objective. So fire up any expedition, and once you get in the expedition, look for this point on your map where you will have 3 Guardians spawn. I highly recommend using a team for this, as they can be quite powerful, or if you're going to solo it, make sure you get through one night cycle. Either way, once you defeat them, go over to the golden bush and get the golden dew, which is the only thing you're going to need out of this expedition. You can then finish your expedition either winning or losing at the end, and the golden dew will still come out. Now, once you get back to Round Table Hold, you're going to run back to Wilder, who has asked for this to begin with, so exhaust all of his dialogue and give him the golden dew. Once you do this, he will have a little bit more dialogue for you, and then you'll receive the Faded Iron Coins. Now, after you get the Faded Iron Coins, you are going to need to head back to Raider after exhausting the rest of Wilder's dialogue. Once you get to Raider, he's going to send you outside to the doll, and you can look for the marking on your map in order to find out exactly where she is. Run out to her and exhaust all of her dialogue, and she's going to reveal a few things about Wilder that are kind of sad. However, upon going through every single bit of her dialogue, you will then be prompted to head back inside to the Iron Menial. You can see right here on the map where he's located, and you need to go exhaust all of his dialogue as well. Once you start talking to him, you can ask the Iron Menial about Wilder's condition. He'll go ahead and give you some lore on that and answer your question, and at this point your remembrance will be completed. On your exit, you will be greeted with the Golden Dew relic, which is going to give you some really awesome attributes for Duchess. Now, for Chapter 5, Duchess's second remembrance, you may have to defeat one more Night Lord in order to get this to appear in the journal. So if that is the case, make sure you defeat that Night Lord and then come back to the journal and start the remembrance. Once you enter this remembrance, you're going to have to go back and forth between a bunch of different NPCs to get a bunch of different dialogue. So we're going to start out seeing a small glow over by some rocks. Go ahead and check out that glow and you'll get a prompt. You can then follow the footsteps over into the next room on your right, and they will lead you to a stove and kitchen area where the surface is still warm. From here, you can see the aroma fills the air somewhere, and you're going to head out to the right outside, and leaning up against the wall is going to be Wilder with some fresh bread baked on the ground. You're going to receive a prompt to take some of the bread. Go ahead and take some, and then that will spark up a conversation with Wilder, and you can exhaust all of his dialogue. Once you finish talking to him, you will get the pita bread item, and then you can head back inside and talk to Iron Menial. He'll be located where you can change skins in the game next to the fireplace in the mirror, and you can ask him about the bread. Once you've asked him about the bread, you are going to receive a prompt that says "My Mother." Go ahead and press that and continue talking to him. After this, you'll get some pretty awesome lore revelations, and then this remembrance will be completed. Upon leaving the remembrance, you will receive Duchess's chalice, as well as potential access to her next remembrance. Now, if you don't have access yet, go ahead and do a Night Lord or 2, and then come back and check the journal. But if you can start it, go ahead and start it, and once you enter the realm of remembrance, you will find a note. Go ahead and read the note, and then you will open your map and find 2 separate icons. The first is going to be at Raider, which is the closest to us, so we'll go ahead and start with him. He's going to be located in the room with the giant table having a drink, and you can exhaust all of his dialogue. You want to go with the prompt, "Maybe we shouldn't defeat the Night Lord," and then go ahead and listen to the rest of the things that he has to say. You'll get a prompt asking him to explain, and he will explain the rest of what he was just telling you about. You'll want to exhaust everything he has to say, because at the very end of this conversation, you will get a personal objective to go into Limveld and deal with. You'll then want to open your map again and find the Revenant icon, and you are going to run down to the beach and exhaust all of her dialogue as well. However, this conversation is going to end rather differently, and she will actually become your opponent. Now, when you fight her, you are going to have to fight her and 3 different summons all at the same time, so this is your classic gank fight. Now, the way that I did this is I took out the page summon first, Then I took out the giant pumpkin head type summon, and then I left the third skeletal summon exactly where he was and pulled Revenant away from him. This is the only way that I found to do this fight effectively, because if you just try to go for her, she's going to spam Rings of Light, as well as have the other 2 or 3 summons constantly hitting you, and it becomes way too much to deal with. Now once you defeat her, all of her summons will vanish, or at least the one you have left, and then you can exhaust every single bit of her dialogue. She'll tell you that you are stronger than you think. Once all that happens, she will give you the crown medal, and you can exhaust her remaining dialogue. However, we are not done with this remembrance yet, because at this point we have to go back and do Raider's objective that he gave us to go into Limveld and deal with that task. So fire up an expedition for yourself, and then you will head to this location on the map. Now, I highly suggest you do this with a team. There are 3 Caden sellswords that will spawn at this location, and they can deflect and do a ton of damage to you. If you are incredibly good with Duchess, you can solo this, but I recommend using a team, or if you are going to solo, waiting until the second night where you're about level 8 or 9 to make your way up to this location. The strategy that I used here was to separate 2 out of the 3 of them, or try to draw 1 away in order to get him down quickly and then move on to the next. But after you finish defeating all 3 of these Caden sellswords, you can then run up to the gravestone where there's the small flag on the cliffside and interact with it. This will give you the Weathervane's words, and when it comes to this expedition, you are all done with what you need to do for your personal objective here. So continue on through your objective and defeat or don't defeat the Night Lord, whichever one happens to you, and then we can make our way back to Round Table Hold. Now once we get back to Round Table Hold, you need to make your way back to Raider, who's going to be in the exact same location that we left him in. Go ahead and exhaust all of his dialogue, and go with the Share Weathervane's prompt when you're talking, and then you will continue to get some more dialogue from him, and he will give you the double-sided coin. Once you finish talking to him, this remembrance will conclude. Now, as you exit your remembrance back into the real world, you will be greeted at the table with the crown medal. It's going to make your dagger's chain attack reprises event upon nearby enemies, and it's also going to improve your dagger attack power. Now, for her very last remembrance, you may need to defeat 1 more Night Lord in order to get it to show up in your journal, but if it is in your journal now, go ahead and begin your remembrance, and you will find yourself in the realm of remembrance right in front of Round Table Hold. You're going to walk forward slowly and get a Bless Iron Coin prompt, at which point you can raise up the Iron Coin, bless it with the Grace, and then you will receive the Blessed Iron Coin. This is going to turn into one of your best relics, so definitely keep that in mind as we continue this remembrance. Now, after you bless the Iron Coin, you're going to end up running down into the very bottom of Round Table Hold, where you've found these stone coffins before and possible other remembrances that you have done. Iron Menial is going to be waiting for you down there by the very first coffin, and you will need to exhaust all of his dialogue. You're going to get a prompt to give him the Blessed Iron Coin, at which point he will have a little bit more dialogue for you, and then you'll just follow the prompts as you are given them. Now, we're not done yet, because we do need to go and talk to another person in Round Table Hold. You need to head all the way back upstairs, and in the room where you can change your skin and there's a giant fireplace, you will have the opportunity to talk to Wilder, and you're going to use the prompt, "Let us defeat the Night Lord." Now, I'm not going to spoil anything here, but you do get a cool conversation with Wilder, and then you will head back downstairs one more time to talk to the Iron Menial. As you're talking to Iron Menial, you're going to exhaust all of his dialogue, and then at the very end of his conversation, you will be rewarded with the Remembrance skin for Duchess. At this point, this remembrance has been completed, and you can move over to the other coffin where there's the icon and exit out of your remembrance. Upon leaving your remembrance, you'll be greeted with the Blessed Iron Coin relic, which is going to give you a few different things. It's going to give you +3 vigor, continuous health recovery, and defeating enemies while your art is active ups your attack power, allowing you to do more damage. And guys, that is going to be it for every single one of Duchess's remembrances and all the relics you can get for completing them. So if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. If you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification on your way out. Let me know which remembrance you want to see next. And until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.